All right, everyone. Welcome in. Good to see you all here today. Hopefully you are having a fantastic Saturday, as the case may be Sunday for some of you, in case you are our overseas viewers. How you doing, Devin?
I'm great, man.
Oh, good.
Uh, it's been a week, you know?
It has. It definitely has been a week, and it looks like it's about to be another week, if we're being honest. It's
It
been
it yeah, absolutely.
nonstop, weeks after weeks. Welcome back to another episode of Gaming Tonic, though. It is good
Yes,
to have
sir.
everybody here and listening. We were excited to be able to record another episode last week after missing a couple of weeks of episodes, but we're back, and we should be back
Back.
regularly from now on. So
Yes,
that's
sir.
that's good times right there. We're here for it.
Cool.
So, what have you been up to last week, man? What's been going on with you? What's been going on in the world of Devin Kronk? What's been happening?
So lately, games wise, I've been playing Gang Beasts, and that's like about it. And a little bit of Smash. I've been dabbling with Smash again, and that's fun because I always make my way back to Smash. That game pulls me in, man. But Gang Beasts is cool. Punching people, it's goofy, it's funny. I enjoy it. Um, Outside of games, personal life wise, there was a blackout in Southern California
Mm-hmm.
on I think it was Wednesday, and my power was out, and that really sucked. I think that was this week.
Yeah.
My days, like I said, it's been a week. My whole been blending together. I don't know. How's your week been?
Wow. So you've had power outages, you've had gang beasts, you've had
Yeah,
I
all
mean
kinds of stuff.
everything going on.
We went from A to Z. Yeah, you know what's going on. It's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. It's been pretty much crazy stuff nonstop. And oh my goodness, Solus One Rach just came in with a party of 8. Thank you so
Woohoo!
much for bringing all of your wonderful viewers in here. It's awesome to see y'all here.
Thank you.
We were just getting caught up on our weeks. Devin was telling us he's been playing Gang Beasts and having a good time. And then Shorya came in and subbed at tier 1. He's been subscribed for 4 months. Let's go, baby. Love you. We love you too, Shorya. We really do. Also, for anyone who doesn't know, me, Devin, and Shorya are all going to be playing Valheim on March 6th. Be there. We haven't decided
Dude,
on a time yet, but March 6th we'll be doing it. I'm excited.
I think Ace asked me last night if I planned on playing Valheim, and I wasn't sure if you had told everyone that we were gonna do that yet, and I almost let it slip, and
I'd been
I
I'd been
realized.
mentioning it, but
Okay.
I mean
I,
it's
I was
yeah.
gonna say I realized that I was like the worst secret keeper ever because I was I
Oh,
was all
dude, you're
me and
good.
Vince. I mean, never mind. Yeah, no, there's plan.
Yeah, we may or may not be potentially playing games that may or may not be called Valheim at some point
that
eventually.
that was
Um,
actually like pretty similar to what I said. I was like,
yeah, nothing to worry about, dude. Yeah, so we're all going to be doing it. Shorya asked if anyone else was going to be doing it with us, and I was like, I don't even know who else would want to do it with us. But apparently, a lot of people have been enjoying the game. So if you're
it's
interested
buzzing.
in playing Valheim potentially with us, we might be doing it with more people. So
Yeah.
reach out. That's all I'm saying. What's been going on with my week? Man,
Let's hear
like
it.
it's hard to even like really like still digest in my mind all the stuff that's been happening over the past couple of weeks in my life. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's actually been insane. So I've officially got 3 more days of work right now before I go into full-time content creation, and I made that announcement and put it out last week. And in the video that I made that I put on Twitter, I actually said September 24th instead of February 24th somehow I got that mixed up in my brain, so that's on the internet forever with a whole bunch of likes, and that's
Bro,
awesome.
I've been planning this out for months. You know, we're gonna.
Yeah, yeah.
You had a whole game plan just 6 months ahead.
I only recorded the video like 15 times before finally posting it, and I didn't catch that I said September instead of February, and it definitely be that way sometime, but it is what it is, you know. But
Yep.
like Smite's been going incredible. I've been talking to the community about some other games potentially they might want to see me play and that sort of thing, and like it's honestly I'm just so incredibly overwhelmed by all the support and all the love I've gotten from all of the people in like all of our communities. I mean, there's so many of us that stream that are all going around and supporting each other and seeing each other start to grow our channels, and like seeing all these new faces come in and also go around and support other people. And like I I just gotta say, it's been absolutely incredible, like going into other people's streams and like recognizing names almost everywhere that I go.
Yeah,
It
dude.
really is, you know?
It's magnificent.
Because that's exactly the community that I want to build, and that's the kind of communities that I've seen like you and Shoria build. Like when I go around to your streams and I see people from both of your streams and each other's streams and that sort of thing. Like
Yeah.
back back before like my stream really started like blowing up like it has the past like 2 months or whatever, like I used to go into your guys' streams and be like, man, I really want that someday, you know? Like I really like that's what I aspire to have at some point, is a community like that I go around and I see like people from my community being like, oh hey, they're, you know, they're doing it. And like
Yeah.
one of the members of my community who's been like, he helped me set up a whole bunch of stuff with my stream and Smite specifically, like the Gullible Duck, he actually started streaming yesterday, and I saw a whole bunch of people from the stream go in there and hang out with him and support him and stuff like that. And it's like, it's, I don't know, it's incredible to see. It's still unbelievable to me, the position that I found myself in, that this is even an option for me to do stuff full time. So
Yeah, dude.
I'm over the moon at
That's community.
Yeah.
At its core, right there. Everybody just building on top of each other, you know, together.
Yeah.
It is awesome. It is extremely awesome.
68 series in the chat said, in my opinion, at least we're not in Texas. And yep, pretty much. No matter where you are, at least you're not in Texas, unless you are in Texas, in which case we hope you're staying safe and that the weather isn't getting the better of you, and that hopefully you have power where you're at, because that whole situation has been absolutely insane too.
Yeah, I went one day without power and thought I was going to lose my mind, so my heart goes out to you.
Yeah, for sure. It's honestly kind of terrifying. Like it's really like disconcerting, like how much we rely on energy.
I haven't sat in a house at night with candles ablaze in every room so that I can see where I'm walking in probably my whole life.
Yep.
It was a very strange experience.
Yeah, it really is. Well, I mean, that's been both of our weeks. Ice Marsh says, I think this is the first podcast I'm watching. Well, welcome in, Ice. It's good to have you here. And
Hi, Ice.
We saw your discussion a little bit on the topic of like passion in the gaming industry and stuff like that. And we'll touch on that in a second. So I'll definitely come back to your message for sure. Or you can just copy paste it later when we go to like comment on stuff like that. But we're doing the news section first. So
yes, sir.
That segues us directly into the next portion of our podcast here. The news for this week. And there was a lot of it. There was a couple of big events that happened.
Yes, Nintendo Direct and BlizzCon Online.
Yes.
Very pog.
Yeah, huge poggies, you know? Like I love Nintendo and I love Blizzard. So I mean, this was a nice week for me. I was very happy about this. So the first thing on the list, and this one, I mean, it hit home for me immediately as soon as I saw what was coming up on the Direct. I was like, Xenoblade stuff, and Xenoblade Chronicles Pyra and Mithra are the next fighters to join Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. They'll be released in March 2021. I love Xenoblade.
I've never played Xenoblade.
Play Xenoblade.
I should play Xenoblade. Does it have a Switch port?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna play Xenoblade. I'm gonna do that.
They ported the original one for the Wii onto the Switch.
At first, I thought that they were like making a new Xenoblade, and
they already did.
I was like, "Oh, see, I don't know."
They ported the original one and released the new one on Switch like
expecting,
a year and a half ago.
I didn't know that. I did not think it was going to be a Switch or a Smash announcement.
Mm-hmm.
That caught me off guard. It was a pretty good little flip around with that like sad girl that was sitting on the side, and she's like, "I need to tell you something." And she flips around all quick with the Smash card. And she's like, I got invited to Smash. I think it was pretty good. I liked it.
Yeah.
Also another sword character, by the way, Pog.
I mean, I personally add as many sword characters as you want, as long as it's Xenoblade. We don't need any more Fire Emblem Bros, but we could definitely use some more Xenoblade.
Right? Yeah, I pretty much main sword characters, so I'm cool with that. And it looks more of like it's two characters in one, and they swap out, and it almost looks like a Robin kind of thing, where it's like a magey swordy character. It looks really cool. I think faster than Robin.
I think Robin's really fun, by the way. I've got a Robin in my pocket, and Robin is a very cool character. And let's be honest, you said you kind of main sword characters. I think everybody kind of main sword characters over Wi-Fi. Personally, that's just my opinion. They're just better.
I main them local too, man. I'll come at you with the better Marth.
Yeah, most
sitting
definitely.
Right next to you. Yeah,
most definitely. The next one that stuck out to me pretty much immediately as soon as I saw the announcement. This is something that I've been asking for a long time, actually. Skyward Sword is finally getting released on the Switch, and it's coming out on July 16th, 2021. Have you heard me ask for this before? Like, I'm trying to think of who I discussed this with, because I've been talking about wanting a Skyward Sword port for so long, because it came out at like the very end of the Wii's life cycle, and not a lot of people got to play it, and it's such a good game. Like, I love Skyward Sword.
We may have talked about this, because you saying that it came out at the end of the Wii's life cycle, kind of like sparked something in my brain. So maybe we did, but I don't
Yeah.
recall.
Yeah, it
But
would
it's
have been a
very
while ago.
yeah. I'm stoked for. I never got the chance to play Skyward Sword, so I'm probably gonna pick that one up. And as far as Zelda lore goes, I'm pretty sure Skyward Sword is chock full of that, and I'm a sucker for lore. So I give me please.
Yeah, yeah. I never got to finish it, but what I played of it, absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's Zelda at the end of the day, you know,
Yeah.
and it is that Zelda formula they kind of stuck with, like from since Twilight Princess, I guess, or even since Wind Waker, I would say. Like Wind
Well,
Waker still felt really similar to Twilight Princess, like in a lot of ways to me, but yeah,
did you watch the full direct, or did
no.
you just
I,
call it no?
I,
Okay,
I skipped through. There was a lot of Monster Hunter stuff in there, and I don't care about Monster Hunter, so I
fair
just
enough.
went ahead and skipped through the like anytime I saw the screen change, I was like, okay, new announcement, let's look.
Right. So what I was gonna say was that after they did their whole spiel about how it was coming out, they said they added this little excerpt at the end of the Skyward Sword announcement that was like talking about how since it was the game that came out before Breath of the Wild, they kind of like showed how you could see the developmental stages of Breath of the Wild beginning
Hmm.
in Skyward Sword with like the stamina system and the climbing and stuff. So I
Definitely.
thought that was cool, worth mentioning. I think I'm excited for it. It'll be cool.
Man, I said so. I want to play them, but I've never had a Nintendo console before. That's crazy to me, honestly. Like as someone who grew up with Nintendo consoles, like I forget that there are people out there who've never touched a Nintendo game.
The fact that I don't know, maybe it's just the area I lived in or the friends I had or whatever, but I feel like everyone I knew had a Wii when the Wii was like at its peak.
Every
Like
single
the Wii
person.
was so popular.
My
Like
uncle, my uncle who
go
used to
yeah.
like detest video games, like and was always constantly questioning why I was spending so much time playing video games, bought a Wii.
Yeah.
To give you an idea, I mean, it was legit mainstream on the same level as like having a phone. Like
Yeah, it was
that's the
crazy.
Wii was that mainstream. Like it
It
was like having a cell phone.
I remember them getting like cheap too. Like even when it was selling
We're
as
talking
many units, it was
150,
like $100. Yeah, 100,
100.
150.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Which I mean makes sense when you have something like the Wii U come out and flop as hard as it did. Why not sell the older console for $100? You know what I mean? You're gonna sell a million of those. People still thinking they're getting the newest Nintendo console because everyone would rather have one of those than a Wii U. It makes
I
sense.
remember my story about the Wii I have is that when I remember getting my first Wii and I probably had it for about 3 or 4 weeks, and it was around the time I think my brother was about 2 or 3 years old, so he was mobile, like touching stuff and getting into everything he could.
Yeah.
And I remember he used to put pennies inside the disc tray of my Wii, and it was I was devastated, absolutely heartbroken when I found out there were pennies in my Wii and it didn't work anymore. And then I had to call their warranty my or I was young. My mom called warranty services. It was a
What?
process, but you pick that thing up, it starts jingling. It was something else, man.
Your brother thought your Wii was a piggy bank? He's
Something
just
like that.
sticking coins
He
in the
was throwing
slot?
coins in there, yeah.
Good God, dude. That's
All I wanted to
hilarious.
do was play Wii Sports, and he ruined that fun.
I can't
Anyway.
imagine, dude. I would have flipped my lid. Okay. Anyways.
I did.
Splatoon 3 got announced for 2022. I mean, I don't care
I don't really
personally.
care. I was like, cool, like add a DLC to split like it's gonna be on the same console. I don't see what
Yeah.
adjustments they could have added that couldn't have just been like an expansion to Splatoon 2.
I have never felt compelled to buy Splatoon. I don't want to play a shooter on my Joy-Cons, and I don't want to spend $70 on a Pro controller when I'm not even going to use it for Super Smash Brothers because I'm so used to playing that on the Joy-Cons anyways. And if
Yep.
I'm going to get a different controller, it's going to be a GameCube controller to play Smash. That's the only other controller I'm going to get. I don't want to play shooters on my Switch. I don't care about this game. Clearly, it sold enough of Splatoon 2 for them to be like, we need another
We
one.
need a third.
We need
Yeah,
a
that's what
third Splatoon also on the Switch. It has to
that was my
happen.
thought. I was
Uh,
like, they're just it's a cash grab. You could have
yeah,
expanded Splatoon 2. In
yeah,
fact, I added this to the list specifically because I knew both of us would have a bone to pick with it. because I know you don't like Splatoon, and I was upset about it, so I figured it would give us a little bit of
I don't even
angst.
want to support people who play Inkling and Super Smash Brothers. Like, I have so
Yeah.
much like dislike for this series, and it looks so fun. You know what I mean? But I don't ever want to play this on Switch. Nintendo release this game on PC, make it free to play, and then I'll give it a try. That is the only environment in which I will try Splatoon. I don't know, man. Like
You heard it
Splatoon,
here, Nintendo.
like Splatoon.
Splatoon 3, free to play on PC or nothing.
And totally nice Fox in the chat. Splatoon 1 was Pog, never played the second. And I wouldn't be surprised even a little bit if that is the opinion of every person who's played Splatoon. Like, except for the people who didn't. Did the first one come out on Wii U?
Yeah.
It did come out on Wii U, right?
Yeah,
Okay, I thought so. Like, the only people who I feel like might not share that opinion are people who didn't get to play it on the Wii U. But I think that Splatoon, the idea of it is very neat. And it's a very, like, cool and accessible shooter for, people who wouldn't be able to play Call of Duty or something like that, Battlefield, for violence reasons or whatever. Most parents don't care what their kids are playing anyways, if we're being honest. But
true.
I don't know who this is for, man. I really don't. Like, even the Nintendo fans, I don't know anybody who's like, what's your favorite Nintendo franchise, and they're like, oh yeah, Splatoon. Literally no one. Not even
that's a tough one. Yeah, if you say that, you're kind of weird. I'm sorry.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like,
not even kind of, just full weird. You're weird. I'm sorry. I don't even know if I'm sorry, honestly. You're just weird.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Definitely. It's weird.
Grub weird.
Grub. He said Splatoon is my favorite franchise, no cap, and then immediately put a kappa afterwards. Putting the kappa immediately afterwards completely discredits your no cap, Grub. You can't use the phrase no cap and then be cap.
No cap kappa.
Yeah, that's an oxymoron. You can't have it both ways, okay? But like,
so in this trailer, all they really revealed to us, just to add fuel to the fire, was a new map called Splatlands and new weapons. That was about all we gained from Splatoon 3.
Oh,
just an FYI.
So everybody's been asking Nintendo to figure out what's going on with their online systems and how they do online gaming and all that stuff, and they're like, we figured it out. We're gonna release DLC as an entire new release game. And that's what they did with Splatoon 2 anyways, because it was basically just a little bit extra added on top of Splatoon 1, and they ported it to the Wii or to the Switch.
Yeah. Did they? And it was a graphical update, I think.
Yeah.
Like, for the most part. Like, this is literally just the same thing, but with different maps and extra weapons. An expansion pack. An expansion pack that they're selling as a full game. If this isn't proof that Nintendo just wants your money, I don't know what is.
Pretty much, yeah. And Ice Mirage said, sounds like the last Far Cry game. And so yes, but also no. Because the last Far Cry game, I think you're talking about the post-apocalyptic one. I'm trying to remember what the name of it was, and I can't remember it for the life of me. But it was basically like after, spoiler alert for if you haven't finished Far Cry 5, after a nuke goes off at the end of the game or whatever. Like, it's supposed to be the Fallout-like-esque wasteland afterwards. But they officially announced that that was a standalone DLC. Not like a fully fledged game. In the same way that Infamous, I think it was Last Light was what it was called, was to Infamous Second Son. Yeah, it was actually supposed to be like its own. It was pretty big about the game, but like it was a pretty good sized DLC. Like, it could have been its own standalone game, kind of like Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Like, really good game. Not that big though. That's why it wasn't a $60 game at launch. So like it's kind of in that same vein. But yeah,
Last Light was like interesting because it was, like you said, it was kind of the same deal where it was like announced almost as a standalone but wasn't, and then but like, from the player's perspective, why would you want to switch? I don't know who here has played that what was that Infamous called? Last Son?
Second Son, I think.
Second Son. Anyone who's played Second Son, why would you want to go from the guy that can switch from like 4 different powers to just playing as the one chick that has one power that the dude in the main game already has? Well, with less content. Like, I never played it, so I didn't know what the incentive to wanting to play as that character was, besides maybe like an attachment to the character. Like, I don't know.
I think in general it was just the idea with wanting to buy that is having more Infamous content, because the DLC was actually really good, and I think
Was
they
it?
gave it away
Okay.
free for PlayStation Plus subscribers. Like either when it came out or shortly after it came out. It was somewhere
Oh,
in
well, that
that
changes
timeline.
things.
Like it
That's
might have been a
cool.
couple of months after it came out. After the DLC launch, that they gave it away on PS Plus. I'm having a hard time remembering, but they did for sure
Actually,
give it away at
really
some point.
enjoyed.
But
Yeah. I enjoyed Second Son a lot. I'm getting a little
yeah,
off track here, but that was my first platinum, so I I like
nice.
that game. It was fun. I spent a lot of time on it.
Yeah, but even still, like looking at Splatoon 3, I mean, they're legit doing what the other developers have done by releasing like standalone DLC with it's like a big, like clearly sizable content update for the game. And I mean, even Call of Duty at this point is releasing maps and guns for free.
Yeah.
Call of Duty, the worst offenders of downloadable content being forced to be purchased for you to be able to play on an equal level playing field with other people, even they're doing it. And I hate Call of Duty, you
Me
know?
too.
Like I play Call of Duty. I hate Call of Duty, you know? Like
Everybody who plays
it's
Call of Duty hates Call of Duty.
exactly,
It's
you know?
okay.
And even they figured it out. Come on, Nintendo. It's
Yeah.
it's time. It's time.
Nintendo is really burning a lot of bridges like this year. I feel like they've been catching a lot of flack for this like money grabbing shenanigans, and a plethora of other things too.
Yeah.
But that's been like a really big thing lately is just them sucking money where they don't need to.
And see, it's going to be okay though, because eventually they're going to release another Pokemon game that doesn't innovate at all and adds in systems that nobody asked for, and then everybody's going to buy it and everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, it's
So who
true.
cares anyways? But
Because it's Nintendo. Everybody will still buy everything and they know it, dude.
yeah,
That's why we can't, unless there's a boycott, a mass Nintendo boycott, we will never escape their tyranny. It's
pretty
it's
much.
just we've
Yeah.
condemned ourselves.
Exactly. And I mean, I'm just as guilty as anybody, and I definitely will be come June 25th of this year, because Mario Golf Super Rush is coming out.
Yeah, boy.
I love Mario Sports. I mean, like I imagine, like how excited I get about Mario Sports is how excited everybody else gets when they go to buy the new like NBA 2K or whatever every year. Because I've never cared about any other sports games. Okay, I buy Madden once every 4 years, so that way it at least looks like a new game, as opposed to buying it every year where it feels and plays exactly the same.
Mhm.
But I don't play hockey. I don't buy the NASCAR games. I don't do FIFA. I don't do NBA 2K. I don't do any of that stuff. But
Yep.
Mario Sports, man, something about. Did you play Mario Hoops 3-on-3 on the Nintendo DS?
Yeah, I did. Dude, that
Something,
game was crazy. I forgot about that game. Oh my
yeah.
god.
Yeah, something about drawing weird patterns on your screen, seeing the entire area go
Full
dark,
dunk.
and then a
Yes.
spotlight shines down, and then Waluigi dunks it from full court. Perfect. That's what I want in my sports games. I want to be able to dunk a basketball as Mario characters from full court every
That
time.
game was incredible.
It was so good.
That was a forgotten memory. That was actually like probably one of my favorite DS games ever. That was such a good game.
I
Like
unlocked all the characters.
no
I played through
irony
all the
here.
campaign. Like that game was amazing. That's the most fun I've ever had in a sports game, bar none. It's not close. And Mario Golf is coming. What's up?
Yeah, did you ever play before we move on to the golf talk, Mario and Sonic go to the Olympics or whatever? It was, I think that was on DS too. And there's like Sonic characters and there's Mario characters and they just compete in Olympic events. That game wasn't half bad either. I remember enjoying that very much.
Which
I
one
think
was
they
it?
even Mario and Sonic Olympics.
No, I
Olympic
didn't. I didn't
Run
do
or
the
something.
Olympic Games. No.
Those were pretty cool. I actually liked those, and I think they had those on the Wii too at one point.
Man, yeah,
But
I think they
anyway.
did. I think they might have released one on the Wii U as well. See, I feel like
Probably.
the Olympic Games thing has been a regular recurring thing.
Yeah, they
but-
like to. Nintendo likes to milk their content, so it wouldn't surprise me.
Rolo69 just dropped in and said, just dropping in to make sure that someone has told you that you're cute, Mogo, today. Yo, thank you so much. We are cute. We are indeed cute. Welcome to the podcast. To be honest, the only time I would play a soccer game and have fun is that game will allow me to have Bowser as my keeper and I can make him lie down and block the goal. Well,
You just catch the ball in your shell.
I think that in the games, the characters are appropriately sized so that like the bigger characters are obviously bigger, but not big enough to block a goal. I believe. So unfortunately, you still wouldn't have fun, Ice. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say.
Game is not canon.
But The new golf game features a speed golf multiplayer mode, motion controls, a story mode, and so much more. So I think they're trying to kind of touch on the Wii Sports crowd here too.
Yeah.
Honestly, with the motion controls specifically. I mean, from what I saw of it, it looks very similar to playing Wii Golf.
Yeah, they even gave a whole demonstration with the guy swinging his hips and everything. It looked motion controls look great.
I'm probably gonna buy this. I'll be honest with you. I love Mario Golf anyways. I played
I'm
Mario
gonna
Golf on the 3DS.
I'm
It
gonna
was
buy this
fantastic.
game. I'm gonna stand up right in this spot, and I'm gonna get my hips lined up square with my shoulders and swing that thing like it's a club.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm gonna have my buddies being like, "Hey, you want to go to the range?" No, got the range right here.
Got the range
Nothing to
right.
worry about it.
I'm gonna come up behind Vince and help him work on his swing. That's what I'm gonna go do.
Yeah, there we go. Now you're
Yeah.
talking. Let's say this one's on me. I'll buy the game. I got you. No worries. So the next one on the list, though, from the Nintendo Direct was the newest in Square Enix's HD 2D series, Project Triangle Strategy, is coming to Switch in 2022. And this looks like somewhere between Octopath Traveler and Final Fantasy Tactics is what I'm
Yeah.
seeing, and I love it.
It looks great. I think this was probably the most hype thing that I saw that's new on
Yeah.
this direct. Like I want this game very badly. In fact, there is a demo out today apparently. Well, it came out the day that the direct came out, but if you want to try this game out and you have a Switch, the demo is available. It looks very cool.
I mean, did you play Octopath Traveler?
No, but I want to so bad. I read that game is really long, and I don't know if I have like the patience for that kind of game right now. So
It is really long. I didn't finish it, but like the parts of it that I played, so fun. And the art style is
Yeah.
beautiful, and it looks incredible, and it works good. And the music is, I mean, pretty much what you would expect from like old school Final Fantasy type like developers, honestly. Like it's very, very perfect like for the theme music. And I could not be more excited for this. I've been itching for a new Final Fantasy Tactics like since I played Final Fantasy Tactics. I played it originally on the Game Boy Advance. And I sunk so many hours into Final Fantasy Tactics. So many. It was too many hours, honestly. Like, and I wasn't even good at it, you know? Like when I was playing it, I was like 12 and I was like, yeah, run it every single person and attack over and over again. Like no strategy, not thinking about it for even a second. And
that's how you gain the EXP, baby.
yeah. And I loved it, you know? And like having played Fire Emblem now, like I've been so ready for another Final Fantasy Tactics game, and it seems like Square Enix has no interest in releasing one at this point, and they're just going to let these guys take the wheel on that one. And I think that's awesome.
Which is cool. Yeah. Definitely cool.
Yeah, I love it personally. I'm excited to see this come out and see what they do with it. I think it's only going to improve off of the formula that Octopath Traveler already had. And Roach, thank you so much for the tier 1 gifted sub to Zavis Gaming. I appreciate it, man. You are absolutely insane. We love you here.
Love you, Roach.
Thank you. You're the absolute best. Go ahead. What do you got?
Ahead. No, you're good. You go.
No, I was just gonna say the next piece of news, man.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that I'm gonna whip out the Switch after the podcast and probably download that demo and try it out. So I'll keep you guys posted.
You will have to let me know what you think. And Rolo69 said, "Who needs strategies when you can Leroy your way through?" Exactly. I didn't know who Leroy was at the time, but it was absolutely just Leroy Jenkins and attack everybody when I was playing Final Fantasy Tactics when I was like 12.
Was that pre-Leroy?
It was post Leroy, but I wasn't familiar with the meme yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Because that happened during the Blackwing layer raid, I think during Vanilla, which would have come out in, I think, the first year and a half of World of Warcraft. So it would have been just shortly after that. So
it was PL, not BL.
and then Roach gifted a tier 1 sub to Solus 1 Rach. And then I think Solus 1 Rach also subscribed. I don't know why I just posted both of those in the chat. That's weird.
They subbed at the same time.
Wow. Guys, thank you so much for all the support. I appreciate it. Y'all are amazing. Seriously, I love y'all.
Double subs in the chat for all the listeners.
Y'all are incredible. Thank you. You're the best. The last. Oh, and then Roach subscribed.
And then Roach himself. Yeah, there we go.
Man, y'all are insane with the support. For real. Thank you so much, Roach. You're amazing. I appreciate you. You as well, Rachel. And thank you for the raid. The last piece of news from the Direct: Fall Guys on the Switch, summer 2021. Makes sense. I don't know how Fall Guys wasn't already on the Switch.
That's my initial reaction was, oh wait, that wasn't on the Switch already. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's very, very it just feels switchy, you know?
I don't understand how this wasn't a launch title, like, or didn't release on
Yeah.
the Switch when it came out. You know what I mean? Like, how is this not the first platform they thought of when they went, we want to take this multi-platform? And the only thing I can think of is, like, did they have some kind of a deal with Sony or something like that? Because I know it came out on PlayStation
It could
Plus,
have.
like,
Yeah,
the day that it came out, right?
that's something out of our knowledge, but it sounds plausible.
Yeah.
I look at Fall Guys and I think of like the Nintendo Labo, like the or whatever it's
Oh,
called,
yeah.
the little box thing. I don't
Yeah.
know. They give me the same vibes. Fall Guys and the Labo.
Interesting.
I want to
That's
play VR Fall Guys, first person.
first person Fall Guys. Oh, geez. Okay. That sounds, that sounds nauseating, dude. Like, could you
Yeah,
imagine just getting hit one time and your character's like spinning like crazy and you're just like actually getting motion sickness and throwing up and passing out?
I get mad motion sickness from VR already. That sounds like hell. That would be torture for me.
Yeah. VR Fall Guys sounds absolutely terrifying. When we can get like a full bodysuit and go into VR and play Fall Guys and just actually feel the impact of all the things that we're putting ourselves through and other people, then I'll play it. That sounds
It would
wonderful.
still be terrible. There's just like 40 people dogpiling you and you just feel it all.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yep. So
Vince is like, yes, I want to feel that, please.
pretty much, yeah. I want that pain. That was the last bit of news from the Nintendo Direct that really stuck out to me. I know they showed a little bit more of Monster Hunter Rise and all that stuff, but we already had a release date for that, and we had already seen the weapons, I think, and they had already released the demo by that point, hadn't they? For Monster Hunter Rise,
I threw in mostly stuff that was like relevant to us, like
yeah,
things I knew we would like or extremely dislike, and new things because we don't have really an opinion on those yet.
perfect. So the other big event that happened this week was BlizzCon Line, is what they're calling it, but it was BlizzCon Online, and they just mashed the words together to try to be trendy, and it failed because BlizzCon Line sounds dumb. And I heard someone, yeah, I heard someone say it online, and it legitimately sounded so dumb when the guy said it. Like during the conference that they were having, I was like, I'm not gonna call it that. But Diablo 2 Resurrected got announced. And this is something that I have been saying is coming for a long time. And I was like, there's no way it's not happening. And I thought that it might be included with a pre-order for Diablo 4. They're not doing that. It's going to be its own game. It's going to be $40 when it releases. And they could have charged me, I hate to say this, they could have charged me $100 for Diablo 2 Remastered, and I would have bought it. Okay? I'm not even kidding. The amount of time that you will get out of this game, if you can get past that little bit of old school jank, like, I would have bought this. I would have bought this at $100. I am so excited to see this come out. As long as it's not a disaster on the same level that Warcraft 3 Remastered was, it's going to be incredible.
You know, it's funny because I swear this was brought up. Run it back maybe 4 episodes, and I think we were talking about a Diablo 2 remake, and you heard it here first, folks. Really, that. Gaming Tonic's your place to go for gaming news. We knew before it even happened. We're like the Simpsons of gaming news. We say it happens.
Yeah. I mean, there was I didn't see any way it couldn't be coming, you know? As soon as they finally caved and did World of Warcraft Classic, I was like, the doors are open. Things are gonna start coming now. And they also announced like a trilogy or something like that of like their older games that they made back in like the 90s, like the early 90s, I think. And like I don't care too much about that because that was a little bit before like my time of playing games, but it was like I think it was Blackthorn and Lost Vikings and like some other racing game that they made back in the day, like early days of Blizzard. And they gave that away for free to anyone who bought the BlizzCon online ticket or whatever to watch the show. So that's kind of cool. Just something like for the fans of Blizzard, you know, who would appreciate something like that, nostalgic.
Yeah.
But Roach gifting 2 more subs. I appreciate it. 1 to Vorn and 1 to Gaming_Bird. We appreciate you so much, dude. Thank you.
Thank you, Roach.
What's up?
I said thank you, Roach.
Yes. Thank you so much, Roach. Rolo said, let's be real. As soon as there are full body VR suits, there will be millions of people locked in their houses, baiting themselves to death like Quagmire when he discovers porn. Yep, pretty much. That's the real application. At this point, I'm not surprised that Pornhub isn't like themselves, just like going full send into like investing in a VR bodysuit.
Yeah, Pornhub research department. They're just
yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure there is some interest in the VR side of things. That I'm let's not go there. That's
we're not going to take it. We're not going to take it any deeper than that. Okay. They've already said that they're keeping it as true to form as possible, including having no map markers. Yeah, they're definitely committing to keeping it old school. They're going to do a graphics toggle, kind of like they did with Halo: The Master Chief Collection. If you played the first game, how you could toggle back and forth between the graphics of like old graphics and then the remastered graphics. So for people
Oh,
who want to
really?
play on the old version, yeah. One
Cool.
one of the only changes I saw that they're changing, and this is something that I actually touched on too when we talked about the remaster potentially happening, is they said that they would be doing increased stash space, so you can have more
Yeah,
space for loot. And that's
I
something that
remember
I
that.
actually said is that the one thing that got me with that game was having to manage my inventory and how annoying that was. So that's gonna be fixed, and that's big hype.
They listened.
Yep, they heard me talking about it here on the podcast. That's what happened.
Exactly what Blizzard. Someone from Blizzard is in here right now answering all of our prayers. What's the next thing we can ask for? Make Hearthstone cards free maybe in the next expansion, or
They just
uh
announced also the core set is coming out to Hearthstone, and it's going to be a set of cards that you unlock by hitting level 10 on a character. That's going to make it more viable in ranked and casual play for everyone, and you're going to get these cards for free, and it's going to include legendaries and stuff like that, so it should give you a couple of viable decks. They
I didn't
already
even
listened
know
to you.
that.
They
Yeah,
already listened to you, man.
they were one step ahead of me. There we go.
They heard you asking it right now, and they went back in time, solved it, and then perfect. Here for you.
Oh,
We've done it.
perfect.
We've done it. So the other big announcement is Burning Crusade Classic. And this is a big one for me personally because I was excited for World of Warcraft Classic, and the thing that excited me the most about World of Warcraft Classic was the potential for there to be Burning Crusade Classic.
Yes.
I did not get to experience a lot of vanilla World of Warcraft, even though I started playing at launch. Like, when I started playing World of Warcraft, I was 10 years old. I was so terrible. I hit max level, which was level 60 at the time, the week before Burning Crusade launched. It took me 2 years of playing World of Warcraft to get from level 1 to level 60. And I made new characters every now and then, but I played a lot of that game. Like, I was legitimately just getting like lost in this world and exploring everything and having fun, and like I didn't care at all about reaching max level. I didn't
Yeah.
really start to get into the game and start like, pursuing content until Burning Crusade, and then finally started raiding during Wrath of the Lich King. And I could not be more excited for this. I mean, it's basically the same environment as World of Warcraft Classic with a whole bunch of stuff that's like improved on. So making all of the specs more viable, making the leveling a little bit more fluid and easier, giving you more stuff to do at endgame, and giving you more interesting content to do in the raids and stuff like that. And the boss fights a little more complicated, and the gearing a little bit better. So
It's interesting to me because if they continue to add classic expansions over time, I'm sure they have like a timeline set up for like retail and classic, but
yeah,
like when is there gonna be the day when classic catches up to retail? Like, are we gonna have classic Legion in like 10 years?
I don't
Can
think
you
so.
imagine?
Personally,
Like, how far are they gonna take it? To, like Lich King maybe?
I see Lich King as the stopping point.
Yeah,
I think that'll be the last thing that they do, and then they will either retire World of Warcraft, put it in maintenance mode, or release an MMO, a new one.
yeah,
Like World of Warcraft 2 will hit at that point. I think. I don't see any way where it goes farther than Lich King personally. I just
yeah.
can't see it because the next one is Cataclysm, and that one wasn't very well received anyways. I think that Cataclysm had a lot of the PvP people really happy, and aside from that, like I think that was where the player base really started to decline a little bit. Was in Cataclysm.
Yeah, I started in Cataclysm, so that was always like a expansion I really liked for like nostalgic reasons. Like that was my first expansion and I was just super stoked about it, but so from my perspective, I really liked Cataclysm, and then after that it went down. But
Yeah,
honestly, like I liked Mop too.
yeah.
Mop was a guilty pleasure of mine. I loved Mop.
Mists of Pandaria, I think, was one of the best expansions World of Warcraft has ever had. It just happened to be released at the same time as Kung Fu Panda, and that's just too bad.
Yeah, I think we've also said this before.
People just
It's
completely wrote it off because Kung Fu Panda came out at the same time and pandas, and so therefore, hate something that's popular.
Yep.
I
I
don't
just want to
even.
be the chosen one, the Dragon Master, whatever he's called.
Yeah, no kidding. And it's like Jimmy Shade said, I can't wait for classic BFA personally. I just want to go back to that place. Yeah, you know what? Like some Jimmy,
Classic BF.
I equate that to me wanting to have a full bodysuit that I can play VR and Fall Guys and like feel the pain of every single impact and all the people body piling on top of me. That's the kind of like desire for that kind of pain that I see you typing there in the chat. So I
Step
relate.
on me.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Step on me.
So That's it for our gaming news for this week. I mean, there were a couple of other announcements from BlizzCon Online, but like nothing that really stuck out to me. It wasn't a very big conference. I think that's why they chose to do it online, and like 3 months later is because they didn't have that much to show anyways. I don't know if we got
Yeah.
any Diablo Immortal news or not. I
I
know
don't think
that.
I saw anything about that. And if it is there, I missed it, and that's my bad. But I just saw Hearthstone, WoW, and then D2.
So, I mean, I'm looking at Tech Radar right now. They posted an article that said will be a mobile MMO, developer reveal at BlizzCon 2021, and then nothing else about it. So
Mhm.
probably information for other people that they showed potentially behind closed doors, like to like press people and stuff like that. But we'll probably hear more
Even if
about
we
it
didn't
when it's ready.
already know about it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I wouldn't be surprised to see a beta sometime like between spring and summer. That's kind of the timeline I'm expecting at this point, since they already started their alpha. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, our topic for today. We're talking about passion in the gaming industry, and this was something that kind of got brought up a little bit last week, you know? And not just passion, but specifically the lack of passion in the gaming industry. You know, looking at something like Diablo 2, you know, for, you know, to reference something that's kind of a current event and important right now because the remaster just got announced. But looking at Diablo 2 and what a labor of love that was and how appreciated that was by the fans, and then go to something like Diablo 3 and the launch of what Diablo 3 was, where it launched with a real money auction house, you know, and like the loot drops that you could get in Diablo 3 were influenced by what items were currently on your real money auction house. So they were legitimately saying that the time you were spending playing your game wasn't as value as your real money.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like things
Yeah.
like that, you know, like just how much corporate greed has influenced gaming,
A
you
lot.
know? And it's taken so much of the passion out of the things that we love, and just made it all about the money that can be made. And you know, we everybody makes the argument, well, it's a business, you know, you got to make money. But at the same time, I think you
They're
can do
they're
both. What's up?
they're making money.
Yeah,
They can spare it a little bit, you know?
absolutely. And they did. I mean, they used to, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And it just it's gone downhill. And we're gonna discuss why, or at least why we think so.
So, I mean, the first question that we have on here is, what do you think has led the gaming industry to feel as corporate as it has? Because I mean, obviously, it's changed a lot over the past 20 years.
So for me, uh here comes the obligatory I'm a young guy thing, right? So as far back as I can remember, my first game that I remember consciously playing is Tony Hawk's Underground.
Hmm.
And from there, I I feel like it was still tame back then from my memory, you know? It was still like you got a game about just this skater guy who's coming from nothing. You could feel the passion in Tony Hawk games, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
like
it
PlayStation 2 era.
Yeah, and there was no loot boxes or, you know, uh, pay $5 and get this cool graphic on your skateboard kind of thing. It was like you work for your skateboards. I mean, I think you could even customize your whole skateboard right at the beginning of the game kind of thing. Like you never had to pay more for a good game, you know? It would release as a good game. You didn't need to put extra money into something. And from what I've seen just in my, I don't know, like 15 years as a gamer, just like people just like adding, especially within the last like 10 years, man. It's just people, gaming developers, they add all of these microtransactions to games that could have been so spectacular if they had just given you the things that they wanted you to pay for instead of making you pay for it, putting it behind a paywall, and especially when your game is already $60. Like, why would you? That's It's just not fair. I don't know what led to that, but it. Uh, do you know what like the first game that did that is? Like
Microtransactions in the way that
to
they
your
did it.
memory, like
I
did
would
someone just
guess.
see that and go, oh, this is working. Let's all do this now because that's the only explanation I could have for that.
I would guess it would be somewhere in between, like, and it would have been a bunch of things all at the same time. It would have been somewhere in between, like, the mobile freemium games that started coming out, all of the like Ultimate Team stuff that started with like Madden and FIFA and all those things. But I think those were
Yeah.
later on. Actually, I think they were one of the later ones to do it. Call of Duty
In
with
mobile?
their Call of
We
Duty
just
with their DLC practices, and then all of the like freemium games,
yeah.
like they got really big in Japan, like or like just Eastern like developers in general, Japan, Korea, all like places like that developed a lot of those MMOs early on. Because even then, like World of Warcraft
I
came out, and then people were like, "Oh, we want MMOs." So then a bunch of people started releasing free to play MMOs with paid elements.
right.
So I think that that might have even been the start of it, if it wasn't, Call of Duty that brought it into the mainstream with their DLC stuff that they started doing. And at first, it was just map packs,
Yeah.
At first, that's where they were starting. And then slowly they were like, well, if people are paying for this, what else will they pay for? And then they started to realize, well, if we keep everybody on the same maps, then they'll keep playing the game, and then they'll want to spend even more on all this other stuff. So it was like, that's kind of how that evolved specifically for Call of Duty. But it wouldn't surprise me if like Call of Duty or like the free-to-play MMO boom mixed with mobile gaming, like just all
Yeah.
happening at kind of the same, like in the same like 10-year stretch, made everybody look at this and go, this is the answer here, is
My best guess
microtransactions.
would have been mobile games
Yeah.
because I was still so young during that transition that like I was old enough where I was playing games, but I was young enough to where like I wasn't thinking about that kind of stuff. I
Yeah.
was just like, oh, cool game I play, and I truly do think that it has to do with mobile gaming,
Yeah.
like just free stuff that you can also get paid for stuff in, and then big devs were like, "This is great. People already pay for our stuff. They'll probably pay more." I don't understand it, but
Yeah. And
good on you, I guess.
one thing I want to point out was when we asked the question, what do you think has led to the gaming industry feeling so corporate? Zavis had one of the first answers, and he said success. And I couldn't
Yeah,
agree more.
yeah,
Like seeing that something worked and seeing how well it worked. I mean, anytime that you see people, anytime that you're someone who is an entrepreneur, someone who invests in business, or someone who like is out there to invest and make money, you look at something that's making a lot of money, you want to get involved in it. Even if
yep,
you don't know anything about it, when people see other people being successful, they want to get involved. I mean, it's kind of like when you see someone who's like a streamer and like they were really small and then they start blowing up. Everybody looks at them and they're like, okay, what were they doing? How can I do this? You know what I mean? And like it might not even be something that works for them, but they see it work for someone else and they want to get involved. And I think that that's something that we saw happen a lot with the gaming industry specifically, is you have all these like people with a lot of money but not a lot of passion and not a lot of love and not a lot of ideas. Like, and I look at it and I'm like, these are people who realistically don't give like any cares about gaming. They just cared about the money that they could make. And I think that that's the situation that we see Amazon in right now, specifically with New World, and the fact that they've had to delay it like 16 times now, and it continues to come out with like betas that are uninteresting and bland, and a world that feels like there's nothing to it. It's so shallow. I mean, what was it?
yeah.
Was Crucible their like shooter game that they tried to come out with, the third person shooter? I feel like it might have been called Crucible.
Crucible.
I'm gonna give
I don't recall,
it.
but yeah, that's why I asked you
It
what
was
the first
Crucible.
game you can remember was that did that, because like it just seems like everyone else just fell in line.
Yeah.
They did this, now we do that, and then it never changed to this day.
And Fox said, I find that passion in the industry started to die out once big publishers started to sign/acquire a lot of studios that made some of our favorite games. And I feel like on the one hand, yes, but at the same time, there's developers like Starbreeze who did, that was the people who did Payday, I believe. Did you play Payday or Payday 2?
Yeah, I did.
And these guys, I mean, they have been scuffing their games for a while. I mean, let's see, I feel like
Dude,
was it
Payday 2
Starbreeze?
still gets like pretty active updates, I think, doesn't it? Or did they
Yeah.
finally end?
Well, I think they're coming out with Payday 3. Yeah, it is
Oh,
Starbreeze.
good
Um,
on them.
yeah, they're
Jeez.
coming
It
out with a
only
third
took
one.
them like 10 years.
But like Payday 2 was disastrous. I mean, there were people who enjoyed the game, but compared to the first one, it just felt like a shell of its former self. And you have all these people coming out and like, I mean, people who they look at this game, they look at Payday 1 and there was so much love for that game. I remember my friends telling me, "Dude, you got to play this game. It's awesome. It's so fun to play with your friends." And Payday 2 came out and it was cool for a second, and then everybody like kind of was like, these guys aren't great, you know?"
Yeah.
Like, so as much as I would love to chalk it up to just like people coming in and buying studios and that being what it is, like I don't even think we can just chalk it up to that. I think at the end of the day, like people who start to see success and see money, like that changes certain people, especially people in a leadership role. You know, like people at the head of these gaming companies who look at how much they have to spend to develop games and things like that. They look at how much they could potentially be making if they just add in a few microtransactions here, a couple of changes there, spend a little bit less on servers, cut down on development costs, all that stuff. They're trying to cash a bigger paycheck. And I mean, Totally Nice Fox said, I think they got raided a couple years back for tax fraud or money laundering or something like that. I mean,
The
that's
payday guys.
yeah. I mean, that's I obviously I don't have a
That's
source
sick.
on that, but like that's the greed coming in, you know. And I think a lot of the problems that we have with gaming today could be chalked up to greed.
They made a game about stealing money and got in trouble for stealing money.
Yeah.
That make give me good laugh.
And I
But
mean,
yeah,
do you want to read what Shadowfall said real quick? Let's see. It looked like he threw a big message in there.
you can go ahead.
Hmm.
Or I'll read it here. So Shadowfall said the problems started when game developers started valuing their paychecks over fan support and personal happiness. I remember playing games on the PlayStation 2, Nintendo, and GameCube that never had microtransactions or anything of the sort. Every game had heart behind it. And when it was released at base value. You didn't have to pay $60 to unlock more of the game, Destiny, or pay $20 for a cosmetic, because if you don't have it, you're not cool.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. I vibe with that heavy. Sorry, dude. Like I asked you to read it because I was going to take a drink of water right now.
I noticed that out of the corner of my eye. I saw you going for a sip, and I was like, "Wait, nope, I got it."
I appreciate it, but like, and that's kind of what we're talking about here. You know, like they lost a lot of the value in loving the games that they're making themselves. You know, and I feel like a lot of developers nowadays, specifically with how long it takes to develop games, with how much you have to do to create them. I mean, talking about all the like animation work that you have to do, all the coding that you have to do for these 3D games that are multiplayer, and all the server integration and cross-platform play, and you have to make sure it works on like 16 different platforms because you want to get your game out there to as many people as possible. Like there's a lot of stuff. I don't know a lot about coding, but like I did like some like coding tutorials for like gaming and stuff, and like designing your own game, and made like a 2D Asteroids game clone. You know, that was like one of the first tutorials I ever did. And even that, I mean, we're talking hours.
I made a Frogger once, and it was like my final in my web design class.
Yeah.
It took me longer than hours. It was a project. Probably like weeks worth of coding.
And I mean,
just to do a little bloop. Well, it was
Yeah, it's a lot. It's definitely a lot. It's a big toll to take out of someone. And I think that like part of it is, hey, you know, obviously corporate greed. Obviously, you know, there's so much money to be made in it. It's hard not to get caught up in all the money at some point or another.
I just feel like it's so ironic, you know, like back when games were first coming out, they were, you know, made out of people's garages on a 2-man team, and granted they were like pixels and stuff, but you know, nowadays they have the resources to make games that look the way they do.
Yeah.
And you still can't deliver passion. Is it because there's so many people, maybe? Like it's some type of conundrum where like you can't get all these people and get them passionate about one thing, or like I it baffles me.
Interestingly enough, I think that like that specifically, talking about like getting everyone on the same page to get passionate about the same thing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it comes down to having good project leads. And
Yeah.
a lot of the people who came up being project leads, a lot of the people who came up, you know, developing these games that we loved and having such a passionate vision about the games that were coming out and that they were working on, they've retired by now. You know?
Yep.
Like they've made enough. So you have a whole bunch of people who worked under them, and none of them who, I mean, have those same leadership qualities, because I think I genuinely have this opinion. It is rare to find someone who is like a coder or like a tech head or like a really like super like intelligent like science guy also with strong leadership qualities. You know?
Yeah.
Like, because those are typically the people who have absorbed themselves in their work to be as good at their craft as they are, you know? And now you have people like...
A lot of intellectuals are very cut off for that same reason. They're so into their craft or their study that like they don't waste time on trivial things like social skills, you know? Like they're focused on what they're trying to get good at.
Yeah. most definitely. And I think that the areas that we're seeing, and Zavis mentioned this a little bit, and it's something that we're going to talk about a little bit later too, but he said you're thinking of only the legends of back then that succeeded, not all the failed stories. There's still projects today. It's the rare indie darling game. Yeah. And,
We're
and most
getting to the
definitely.
indie stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna touch on that later, but like
Yeah, we go ahead.
I look at it and I'm like, man, where do we bridge the gap? You know what I mean? I look at someone like Ian Hazakostas, I think is how you pronounce his name, or Ion Hazakostas. He's currently like the lead for World of Warcraft, and you compare him to like Chris Metzen, who voiced the character Thrall. You know, like for the World of Warcraft games. I mean, Chris Metzen is about as an iconic of a human being as you can get in the MMO scene, like in general, and in World of Warcraft specifically, obviously. Because I mean, this is a guy who would like come out at the start of like BlizzCon conferences to a crowd of like 20,000 people and like be like, "Hey, Horde, where are you?" Like in his Thrall voice, and like the entire crowd would like scream. I mean, this dude was basically World of Warcraft Jesus to these people, okay? Like, and like though that was the leader that you have to go behind and pick up the reins on. You know what I mean? And like obviously there were a lot of questionable choices that were made while he was in leadership and stuff like that, but I mean, this was a guy who could get a hold of people and get them behind him in his vision. And I feel like you'd be hard pressed to find people like that nowadays in a development studio that big where the competition is that fierce. You know what I mean? Like being in corporate environments like that where they're constantly looking at your performance and how you're doing, and there's deadlines and there's things that you have to do, and it is so corporate. You'd be hard pressed to find people with that kind of passion and that kind of drive and that kind of like genuine care and emotion about the things that they're doing, because everybody's just so focused on meeting the bottom line. And I think that that's why we see more indie developers caring about this kind of stuff and like being able to have that freedom. And we see a lot more love in indie games now than we do in AAA games.
I agree with you 100%. That yeah, dude. It's one thing to be good at what you're doing, and then it's a whole other thing to be able to rally the people behind you while doing it, you know?
Yeah.
And on it, I feel like you almost have to, at this point, pick which one you want, you know? You either can get something good, or you can get some guy who can rally the horde, as you said. Like, you know, it it's tough. It's a tough situation. I can understand why these things happen for the gaming industry, because it is so corporate now. Like it kind of almost has to be that way, but maybe just not so greedy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I see we
Absolutely.
got a few question or not really questions, but statements here in chat. Vince, if you want to read one of
Yeah,
them.
absolutely. I mean, Shadowfall said, I think we also live in a time where people are extremely impatient. For example, remember when developers like CD Projekt Red announced they were going to make Cyberpunk and they teased it and showed their progress? People rushed it, and the game came out and almost unfinished on last gen consoles. We can't blame only the developers, we have to blame the players as well. They don't allow people to take time to make good games. And while it's true that I think that people do get impatient, I think it's as much on the shareholders in the case of Cyberpunk specifically, you know? Like the people who were the money behind CD Projekt Red. As soon as you open up to being invested in and stuff like that, like you have a responsibility to the people who have shares in your company to do certain things. And I think
That
that
game is just a whole can of a
yeah,
weird, like specifically Cyberpunk. That example is tough because
yeah.
there's a lot of shenanigans going on with Cyberpunk.
There really is. Like right now
Yeah.
specifically, there's so much going on with that game. And
Yeah.
like, but I definitely agree with you. We definitely live in a time of impatience. You know, people want what they want. They
Yeah.
want it
Totally.
now. You know, like if you go and you browse the MMORPG subreddit, which I do on a regular basis because I love MMORPGs, so I'm constantly looking for any news on what's new and coming out and stuff like that. Like anytime anything gets announced, everybody's just like angry about it on that subreddit because they're so bitter. They're so bitter, you know? Like and I just
Yeah.
go there for the news, but like there's legit like complaint posts and like angry people and arguments over new games coming out, and like Ashes of Creation is a new MMO that looks really promising, and like the guy who's doing that, he's funding the entire MMO with his own money because he likes MMOs. So
Really,
he's like,
I
this
didn't
is
know that.
yeah.
That's cool.
He's like, this is gonna be
There's some
done when it's
passion.
done. Yeah, exactly.
That's passion.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, and he's saying this is gonna be done when it's done, and I want it to be exactly what I envision a good MMO should be. And I think that's amazing. You know?
That idea with a good team that shares the same ideals will make a good game. I truly believe that. Like that's what it takes right there. And
Same.
then And at that point, if you're making a good game like that with passion behind it, I might be willing to buy your transactions, you know? Like
Yeah.
if you make your game good enough, maybe I would spend more money on it. So like make a good product first with some passion behind it, boys. Passion.
But even still, the people of that community, the MMORPG community, obviously
Yeah, they're
Reddit being a microcosm of the entire community because they're, obviously this squeaky wheel gets the grease. They're this loud minority, pretty much. But like at the same time, that's the face that people see when they look up MMORPG, like, subreddit, is they see all the angry people. So people are like, oh, should I be angry about this? Because people just sometimes tend to blindly follow an opinion when they see a group of other people who share that opinion. And Totally Nice Fox said Reddit's angry in general. And yeah, I mean, they are angry in general. But at the same time, as someone who is potentially an outsider, they come in and they look at all these things that people are angry about that, like, in the way they describe it, seems like a legit opinion. So they're like, yeah, we should be angry about this, but they don't have the full story. So people go and they rush and they're like, we need this product now. And why are you taking your time? And why isn't it already out yet? Your game's going to fail anyways. You're doing all these things that we hate, And it's just one person being loud and everyone else being like, oh, yeah, we hate this.
Just give the man a second.
Yeah.
Just give him a moment. Let him work on his game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that was who was that said that? Was it Shadow?
That was Shadow, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with the sentiment of people just being very rushed. I think in the case of Cyberpunk, it was a strange scenario, but like in general, I think if there was a little bit more patience in the gaming audience, specifically with Reddit too, like
everybody would benefit.
Yeah, because they're they're passionate enough to where I think they feel that pressure a little bit. When the masses are like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Like back to CD Projekt Red, when people were rushing them, they were posting newsletters like every month or whatever, just because they knew people were waiting and getting more and more angry as more time went by. Like if we could all just agree to settle down a little bit, let the damn people work on their game, maybe we won't have some unfinished product. But then you also have to think about shareholders and stuff like that. So it's bigger than just us, really, which is unfortunate, but it's what it is now.
Yeah. And Ice's comment was, let me drop my thought. Passion in big industries is dying. Small and indie producers have the passion, other than the ones like From Software who still have passion for their work. Slowly, big companies will fade out and small indie companies will get bigger. Like to 10 years in the future, then the cycle will happen again as they get bigger, and the more they will need to answer to the bottom lines and sponsors. Yeah. In the end, even if a big company has the passion, sponsors and shareholders are the true source of the problem. The developers might want to put their passion in, want to do something different and good with their skills, but if shareholders are saying not to do that and something that will make them more money, then they don't have a choice. And you're absolutely right.
Yeah, dude.
And I think that's kind of, it goes back to what Zava said. When we asked the first question, which was, what do you think has led to it feeling so corporate? It's success. It's success. You look at this much money.
Summed it up.
Yeah, you look at this much money and you say, we want to make more money. That's it.
Yep.
That becomes the end goal. It's no longer about creating a product that you care about and that you can be proud of. It's about doing what your boss tells you to do because you have to, because you want to keep your job. So no matter what the devs want to do, they're going to do what they have to do because they're told to. Because these are people who are just trying to live their life and exist, even if they are working in a field that they love, on a project that they love. Sometimes you're responsible to the people above you and there's nothing you can do about that. And it sucks, And
that does suck.
I definitely agree.
That's a somber note. Damn.
Yeah. And that's
screw the man. All right. Stick it to the man, boys. We need to pick this energy up here. All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Follow your dreams. Be your own boss.
Yep. And I see like what he's talking about with the indie developers too. And I think that's completely right. And I mean, we actually kind of already answered our second question, but it was, how do you feel about the contrast between indie devs and AAA game companies? And I think that kind of hits the nail on the head right there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. There's obviously far more passion in indie games now, and probably than there ever will be again in AAA games. Unfortunately, I don't see the AAA game industry diverging from the path they're on anytime soon.
Yeah, and I mean,
you're looking for passion. Oh, go ahead, man.
I mean, you look at the comparison between like Chucklefish, the people who did Stardew Valley. Yeah. And you compare them to like the Pokemon Company. I mean, think about how much Stardew Valley has innovated over the last like 3 years, just inside of the game itself. You know, how much they've done, how many updates they've included to improve the game and all the different things that you can do from when the game first launched and what you could do now. And then think about how much Pokemon has innovated over the last 3 years. Now your Pokemon get really big and they glow.
And the graphics look a little better.
Uh,
And your character has legs now.
and not even better enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like compared to
yeah,
all the
still
other
bad.
stuff that's available, you're telling me Monster Hunter Rise looks that good and my Pokemon still needs to look like a game that came out on the GameCube? No. Like, it doesn't. You know what I mean?
It's
ridiculous.
Pokemon.
And
Please
I
be
think
better.
I think the difference is there's a safety in how much money they've already made with Pokemon. And like how loyal that fan base already is. Like they're not pushing the envelope, I think, because they're potentially worried that fans are going to be like, oh no, this isn't what we wanted. Why would you, try to fix something that's not broken? But like there are improvements that need to be made. There are things that people have been
Yeah.
waiting for to happen in Pokemon for so long. And then you look at someone like Chucklefish, who, isn't this massive blockbuster company, or they weren't before, their hits started coming out. But like, and when you look at someone who it's like, hey, my whole life is invested in this game right now. You know what I mean? Like everything that I have is given to this right now. And
Yeah.
versus someone who's like, we've had so many hits. Kitty, don't jump up here right now. I'm sorry, Kitty.
Ori, please no.
Yeah, don't jump on my computer, okay?
The
I'll
cat
pet you.
is trying to get on Vince's lap or desk at the moment.
I'll pick her up. She can hang out for a
Oh,
second.
there
but that's
she
it.
is.
Yeah.
She's on the lap now.
Yeah, I just need her not to jump on top of my computer. She almost pushed over my monitor the other day. Let's say. Yeah, she like wanted to see me, so she jumped up like behind my monitor right here that I keep my chat on and everything, and just like put her paws on there and leaned in, and I had to like reach over and catch my monitor real quick.
Vince with those young guy reactions, dude.
Yeah, almost
Let's
cat-like.
go.
Almost cat-like reflexes. But so what was the last game that you played that had the most amount of passion? What was the last thing that sticks out to you that you were like, this is a game that I can feel all of the energy that was put into this and all the love that was put into this?
Probably the last one was probably, I mean, kind of an obvious one if you've been tuning into the podcast, but Hades, probably Hades. Felt that it was so passionate and so just like well-rounded and even above and beyond in so many areas that like you could have told me that was a triple A game, It was
Yeah.
made on the level of a triple A game, but it had the passion of an indie game. And I think that's what made it so incredible to me. I'd probably say Hades.
Yeah. I think that Hades is the most obvious answer for this, honestly.
Yeah.
Like it's we've talked about it before. We talked about it during our Game of the Year episode as well, and I could not agree more that there is probably not a single game that has come out in the last probably since, now that I think about it, since Bastion or potentially Transistor, although Transistor didn't quite hit the same for me as Bastion did, but like
Thinking past Hades is kind of difficult. That's an interesting one. I wouldn't know what to say after that. Like,
yeah.
probably another indie game though. Honestly, like if I thought long enough, it'd probably be an indie game, not a triple A game.
Yeah. But Transistor was also an incredible game. It just didn't hit me emotionally as much. But I think before Hades, just trying to have a different answer, send
Yeah.
something out in general, I would say Divinity, Original Sin and Original Sin 2.
I never played those.
I think both of those games really went back to an era of the CRPG games that, I mean, they were for the nerdiest of the nerdy RPG fans. These were the people that were playing Dungeons and Dragons and wanted this type of game in a video game environment to be played out in front of them that they could see and watch. And I mean, these games were top to bottom, for the fans. I mean, these were for the people who played Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter Nights back in the day and Dungeon Siege and things like that. And then dialed it up to 11. They dialed every single thing up to 11. The character choices, the dialogue choices, the worlds that they created, the story. I mean, all of it was so good. I mean, and if you haven't played them, you definitely should. Especially Divinity Original Sin 1 is an incredible game, and you can get it for dirt cheap now. And I look at games like that and I'm like, this is what I want from the gaming industry, I want people who pay this much attention and care this much about their product and they know what their fans want and they deliver it.
Yes.
One thing that I feel like Nintendo doesn't know what their fans want. Honestly, not really.
That Nintendo and the Nintendo problem, Vince. It's just that.
And I mean, that's a topic for another week. I mean, we're going to talk about that at some point. We've had that on the list for a while now, but
It's becoming more and more prevalent too. Maybe the time's coming soon.
If they release another Pokemon game and like and
We're
it's the
holding our
same,
cards close to our
like
chest for that.
it's gonna happen that week. If I see another Pokemon game that's exactly the same, we're doing that episode that week. But Divinity 2, I still need to finish that. Yeah, you definitely do if you haven't. Nice Fox. And Binding of Isaac would be a big indie game for me way back when.
Yeah, that's a very passionate one.
Yeah, Binding of Isaac is an incredible call out for sure. But Shadow said, I know I'm a bit late on this topic, but I feel like something I want to bring up. You can always tell when a developer cares about his product and doesn't care. I'll give an example for you. All right, throw out an example. I got you.
We'll wait on that example.
So for you, what is the one that you think has had the least amount of passion lately? I've already got my answer for this, so if you need a second, I can take this one.
Yeah, you go ahead. Let me think on this one.
Avengers.
Oh,
easy.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Easy Avengers, dude. Like, I mean,
Great one. I forgot about that. It had so little passion. I didn't even think to that probably would have been my answer if I thought of it first, but I'll think of something else. Why was it the game with the least amount of passion for you?
Like, just from top to bottom, the entire thing screamed, "This is for money." The whole thing was just like, we are literally only here to cash in on Marvel movie popularity. Every single bit of the Avengers game said that, except for potentially the art and the voice acting, which I thought were really good. Everything else about that game, the marketing, the gameplay, the sound design, the game design itself, said, we are here to make as much money as possible cashing in on Marvel popularity right now because we know it's hot. That's
Dude, but the sound of Thor's hammer?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Absolute banger of a sound.
Yeah. Sounded like a wet noodle. It actually sounded like a wet noodle. It sounded like slapping your inner thigh. Like it's legitimately like the worst noise that you could possibly have for Mjolnir Connect.
Thigh wearing jeans. Like, it's not even a good it's just like a dull thud, you know?
Yeah.
Oh. Man, that's terrible.
Yeah, it was
that was such a good answer. I don't even know how to follow that up with something better. That was I'm trying to think like I don't really buy games that I don't like. I feel like you can tell, you know, if you either see it or nowadays you hear it on social media if a game is worth its salt. And Avengers was one of those games that I might have been suckered into buying if I didn't hear so many bad things about it before I decided to buy it.
Yeah.
So, and then like the bad games, I kind of just push out of my memory. So I think that question is particularly difficult for me, but
yeah,
Avengers is an incredible answer.
Shoria actually said, slapping my inner thigh sounds way better than Thor's hammer in the Avengers game. And it probably does, Shoria. I think you actually might be right on that. Another passionate game they mentioned is golf with friends. And yeah. I mean, it's all the fun of miniature golfing, just like inside of your own home with your friends.
Dude.
It's perfect.
Gang Beasts?
Yeah, Gang Beasts is a really good one.
Has more passion than some of these AAA games. It's really, I mean, it's a simple concept. It's easy to have passion on a game that's premise is to just have little Play-Doh characters that punch each other, but I can't think of the least passion. I'm gonna have to just be boring and go with you. I think Avengers was like super lame.
Well,
like
you're in luck.
Huge title with no passion.
You're in luck because I have a second answer, and this one stings for me personally. But Torchlight 3.
Okay, I never even played that, so I'm not sure.
Did you play Torchlight 1 or 2?
I've never even heard of Torchlight. I'm not even gonna cap.
Torchlight 1 and 2 were Diablo-like games that came out, and I would say that that Torchlight 2 was actually better than Diablo 3 when Diablo 3 came out. I think currently Diablo 3 is probably a better game, but during the time that it released, Torchlight 2 was significantly better than Diablo 3 in a lot of ways. Outside of everything except for potentially like multiplayer integration, it's a little more clunky in Torchlight, but Torchlight 1 and 2 were such good games. Like, they were such good like action RPG, just like loot finding games, and they had an incredible modding community, and like they were super fun to play for hours, you know. And Torchlight 3 came out, and they were actually going to make it like some Torchlight MMO type game, legit just trying to cash in on the live service deal. That's it. like shamelessly trying to cash in on it. I mean, the whole thing felt like a mobile game, and then playing it felt clunky. The abilities didn't flow well together. The characters like felt uncomfortable to use. Like it was awful, dude. Like everything about it was worse. And you could tell that it was made to be something other than what it turned into. Because when they started getting the feedback from players who were playing it, all the players were like, this is a hot, steaming pile of garbage. We don't want to
Is
play this game.
cash grab sequel?
What's up?
It's a cash grab sequel.
Pretty much, but like the worst kind, because instead of making a proper sequel to try to cash grab, they made a worse. They made a sequel that was actually supposed to be like a new reboot of the game that was just a complete spin-off that was literally just trying to like take all the money that they could from the player base and the fans that they knew were loyal and try to like funnel microtransactions out of them in some like weird freemium garbage that nobody wants.
Why would you do that?
And they already had the foundation for such an incredible game with Torchlight 2. Literally all they had to do was just like take what they had and then like put it in just a new environment with slightly updated graphics, you know, and some new items and maybe one or two new systems and you're golden. They didn't need to make some like pseudo MMO garbage that nobody asked for. And they did. Like and it was potentially one of the biggest like flops that I've seen like outside of the Avengers, honestly. It made me sick. Like as someone who loved Torchlight, I'm sad about how it went. I really am.
Never heard it, played it, so I can't really relate. But I trust Vince. I'll take your word for it. I'm sure it was garbage. I condemn you, Torchlight developers. Shame.
Yeah.
And Shadow got around to his example. By the way, did you want to follow up with something? I'm sorry.
That's actually what I was going to point out too. Go for it.
Shadow, he said one of his favorite game developers is Konami. You can feel the passion in the entire Metal Gear series through the long story-filled cutscenes, the fantastic graphics as I went through all the different games, and then you look at all the Metal Gear games past Metal Gear Solid 4. Followed up with they changed leadership. It became a let's pump out as much as we can at low quality so we can make money.
Yeah. And I mean that.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, aside from to say that Metal Gear Rising Revengeance was incredible. And that game is really good, and there's still a lot of passion in that.
Chills. That game was so cool.
Yeah.
Ryan. Whew.
Yeah.
I thought it was so sick. I was young when that game came out, so I was like, edgy protagonist. Hell yeah, this is my kind of game.
Yeah. Edgy protagonist with a sword cutting people into pieces. Perfect.
Ninja? What?
Yeah.
Like it was just everything my little kid brain wanted. It was cool.
Yeah, it really was. And like, but aside from that though, like the direction that Konami has taken in general just like breaks my heart. You know?
Yeah, Metal Gear Survive.
Ugh. It makes me sick, dude. It really does, you know? Because there's obviously so much talent in those studios, and Konami's just like, no, we'd rather make pachinko machines to put in casinos so that we can make money off of those because they make insane money off of those. And like, just the amount of talent being wasted in those studios, because clearly, I mean, you can chalk a lot of it up to the leadership of Hideo Kojima if you want to, but at the same time, there are a lot of people who made those games come together, you know?
Yeah.
Like there was...
Kojima was one of those guys, like kind of going back to what you said earlier, like with the people that have both, you know, the ability and the charisma. Like he was such a face behind that company that I feel like he himself gave that company passion, you know? Like they were like, oh, Kojima's behind this game. Kind of like with I always blank on the name of that new game. What is it? The walking
Death Stranding?
one? Yeah, Dead Stranding. Like people still wanted to play like that game because it was Kojima that was behind it, you know?
Yeah.
Like that felt passion behind a game where you're just walking around with a baby strapped to your chest just because Kojima was the one who like was behind it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I mean, shut my door. I'll be right back. I'll listen.
Yeah, no worries. You're good. You're good. No worries. And I mean, you got to consider like, obviously the walking simulator thing is an opinion that a lot of people have, but at the same time, you think about the fact that it was Kojima who worked on the Metal Gear series, not to mention Norman Reedus is in that game, Guillermo del Toro, Mads Mikkelsen, you know? Like it had a star-studded cast.
Yeah, they got it, dude.
You know? Like, I mean, there was a lot to like about that game. Graphically, it was incredible. They had a lot of systems that were innovative and new and like interesting, and like the gameplay elements were there. Like, there was a lot of walking for sure. You know, and if that's not your type of game, then
like a bad game. Like I played it and I liked the game. I'm just saying like it was like, you know, how people could make a game seem more passionate. You know, like Kojima, Norman Reedus, all those people. You know, like just having those faces. It's like, oh. this has something, like, especially when it's the developer that's the one being recognized. I think Kojima specifically, he's got, like, a cult following, dude.
I think that he has earned his cult following too.
I do too, yeah, yeah, definitely.
I feel like there are few people in the industry who stand out to me as someone that I have immediate respect for, specifically because he didn't do exactly what we're complaining about so many developers doing. And that is that he did not bend the knee to the people above him who told him that
Enough
he had to fit in this
got
box and be a
he
certain
got
way.
let go, didn't he, or fired or whatever? Wasn't
Yeah.
there, like, a whole drama going on?
Yeah, the drama
Yeah,
was
go
huge.
he stuck it to the man, and then he made his own game with his own company.
I mean, this is a guy who like was largely responsible for four of the biggest games of the PlayStation era. I mean, if not the biggest games of the PlayStation era that were exclusive, honestly. I mean, it's easy to say other ones here and there, but I mean, the Metal Gear games stand out to so many people, you
Yeah.
know? Like when I talk to
I
people who are gamers, not casual gamers, like gamers, you know, like the real gamers. Like what game sticks out to you? And if they were a PlayStation fan, Metal Gear.
Yeah.
You know, that's a big answer for a lot of people. What's up?
It's giant. It's one of those games that's just when you think of gaming, I feel like that's another one of those games that would come to somebody's mind is Metal Gear. That's it's huge. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, he was responsible for them making that much money, and they came to him and they said, "You need to make your game this way and fit inside of this box and have these mechanics because this is what we're doing and this is the direction we're taking it." And he wasn't going to sit down and take that for a second. I mean, you're telling me that you don't think he was getting paid at Konami for his work? I mean, my man was getting paid, you know?
Yeah.
Like he was getting paid for his work. And he took that job security, you know, because if he had just said yes to his bosses, I mean, he would have been set,
Yep.
you know? I mean the man clearly is talented and has vision and is a leader of men and knows how to lead people. He knows what he's doing. But he took all of that security, even after Metal Gear Solid 5 was released and came out and all that stuff, and like all of the like turmoil that went through, and him putting his name at the end of every single chapter of that game, and doing credits every single time, just like by Hideo Kojima over and over again after they forced him out of the company to stick it to the man one more time, like.
Dude.
And I remember him walking on stage at the PlayStation conference, and he didn't even have anything to announce. Okay, they just had this old Japanese guy walk out there, okay, and he stood on the stage and he spread his arms out and he was like, "I'm back," and everybody just
Yeah,
lost their mind.
dude.
Like everybody lost their mind. Okay, like every single like they didn't cheer louder for a single announcement at that event. Nobody cared about anything else except for that moment right there. You know,
He's rad.
and like these are the people that we need standing up to corporations in the industry. You know, it's people like Hideo Kojima who are going to go out there and say, it is more worth it to stay true to myself and my passion and my vision and my love for games than it is to sit here and listen to you tell me what to do because you don't care about what it is that we're trying to make here. You care about money that you're trying to make. They don't care about the games. They don't care about the people that are going to be playing them. They only care about their money, you know?
Absolutely.
And I think that
Nobody puts Kojima in a box. All right.
yeah,
The only
exactly.
thing going in a box is Snake. I was waiting to say that. All right. Anyways, we can
solid
move on
pun.
now.
Solid pun. But like, I think that the people who are really in a position to do that, besides Hideo Kojima, obviously, because he was well recognized in the industry and had a lot of pedigree behind his name already. So like, he was probably in a better position than most people to be like, nah, screw you guys, I'm gonna go do my own thing because I can. And then he did it, and it was awesome, by the way. Like, I feel like indie developers are kind of who we're counting on to kind of carry that banner. And realistically, the indie developers of today are going to be the, you know, big developers of tomorrow.
Yeah. And they're truly trailblazing. Like they're doing things that AAA games have all of these resources and they're still not like most of them are not nearly as innovative as some of these indie games. It's been like that for so long too. Like I've always felt like indie games have been way more creative, at least like in my time as my short time as a gamer being the 14-year-old boy that I am.
Yeah. And I
But
mean, I look at a game like Valheim, you know?
yeah.
And obviously, this is one that I haven't played yet. It's one that I've heard about. I've seen a few screenshots. I'm trying to find out as little as possible for when I play it on the 6th because I'm excited to play it. But like, just from what I've seen and what I've heard about this game, you know, like
Mhm.
these guys sold. I think they hit 4 million copies. Might have been 3 million copies sold in a matter of weeks. You know,
Yeah.
and if I had played this game personally, this would have been my game that I said I felt a lot of passion in. Because every single thing I've heard about this game stands out to me as the type of game that these people knew exactly what kind of game they wanted to make. They'd seen other people do it, you know? They'd seen the Ark Survival Evolved devs do it and make a game that's a survival game that, you know, is kind of cool, but at the same time, they're obviously money grabbing. Obviously. Just based solely on the release of Atlas after Ark Survival Evolved, when Ark Survival Evolved hadn't even had all the bugs fixed yet and all the DLC and everything. What's
That
up?
was a very weird release, Atlas. I
Yeah.
was also gonna say that, like, with survival games specifically, I feel like it's so, it's a little harder to have passion with a survival game because it's hard to change up that formula. So it's really cool to see an indie developer come out with a survival game that you can feel passion with. That's very pog. Great job.
Yeah. And I mean, Nice Fox even said this in the chat. He said, don't forget that Ark 2 has Vin Diesel in it now.
There's that charisma they needed.
Yeah. Vin
Now it
Diesel.
has passion.
Like, of anybody who I would pick to be in my video game, Vin Diesel ain't it. I feel like the Vin Diesel crowd and the Ark crowd are not the same crowd. Those are not the same people who care about that.
Dinosaur riders and the Mustang lovers aren't in the same boat. You know, my Fast and the Furious boys.
I mean, I could be completely wrong, but like even for me as someone who likes Need for Speed or whatever, like I would put Vin Diesel in Need for Speed. You know, like if I
Yeah,
were to
no,
pick one game.
good idea. That's You need to hire Vince, dude. He knows how to typecast.
Yeah, no
What,
kidding.
ab-
Like
what about like Jason Momoa? That seems like an art character. You know, Aquaman.
yeah, when I saw the trailer, I originally thought that was going to be him. I'll be honest. When they started panning around and they were going to show a face, I was like, "Oh, no way." You know, because I saw like the built body and everything like that. I was like, that would make a lot of sense.
But
Like
Vin Diesel.
Jason Momoa would have absolutely worked, but Vin Diesel? No. I mean,
Ooh,
I don't know, dude. I don't know. It feels weird to me. It feels like a corporate cash grab. It feels like they're trying to cash in. I really do. I mean, Grubplace said, I doubt Vin Diesel would be allowed in Need for Speed due to his contract with Fast and Furious. Yeah, but I mean, that's why it would be the perfect place.
yeah.
I don't know,
Well, maybe
man.
they could like make some kind of deal or something. I feel like that's where you would see like a DLC for, I don't know, like Fast and the Furious vehicle. Maybe not even Vin Diesel himself, but like their cars or something. I don't know.
Something.
Whatever those people are into. I'm not a huge racing game guy.
Yeah. And to give you an idea, there's an article from appules.com or something like that. I don't know what this website is, but I'm citing my sources because I just Googled it because I was curious how big the team was that made Valheim. But the Valheim dev team was 5 people.
5 strong, baby.
You know what I mean? How
Yeah.
many resources do AAA games have? And
That's what I'm
they put
saying.
out garbage, you know?
Oh,
Like
that's the most frustrating part to me. Like, God, even Among Us. What was it, like a 3 developer team, 4 or something?
yeah.
There's more passion in a game where all you do is run around and stab your friends and try to lie to them about how it wasn't you than there is in like almost Cyberpunk. Like, I'm sure there's people out there that will tell you that they had more fun with Among Us than Cyberpunk, and that is sad. Like, that should not be the case.
And see, Grubplace said, do they put out garbage or do we just have higher expectations? No,
Man.
I genuinely believe they're putting out garbage. Specifically because, look at this. I mean, 5-man dev team made Valheim. I don't think Grub has played Valheim yet, okay? But 5 people can get together and make a game that has overwhelming positive reviews on Steam, hit over 400,000 concurrent players on Steam, sold 3 million copies in a matter of weeks, you know? And 5 people made this game. So you're going to look at me and say, we have higher expectations? I don't think so. I don't think we do. I actually think that we have lower expectations than we've ever had, personally.
Yeah.
I think that we are more willing to put up with just all of the shenanigans that these corporations try to pull than ever before. We're so
Conditioning us. It's working.
They really are. I mean, we're so conditioned to just like accept the fact that we don't have a choice but to play what we're offered, you know? That I think more than ever in the history of gaming, people are more okay with getting screwed right now than they ever have been.
Especially with like the pandemic and stuff. It's like gaming is having a surge because we're all home.
Yeah.
It's kind of starting to get back into the flow of things again, but it's been off and on. Gaming's huge right now, you know, and it'll probably continue to be huge. And I don't see a way that like this could possibly be fixed unless there was some type of mass gaming boycott or like a like a gamers union or something. Like it's just we're doomed, boys. Unless you have a solution, of course. Maybe
I think that boycott is not going to happen.
definitely not. Like
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know what else we could do.
I mean, it would work if you could get everybody on board, but you will never get everybody on board. You won't. I mean, there are still people who buy like Ultimate Team packs every year, along with paying $60 for their sports game. That's pretty much the same. They buy Ultimate Team card packs on top of that so that they can build the perfect team, and they spend real money on it. And it's like, as long as there is that casual crowd that doesn't care and they don't mind spending the money because they have extra money or whatever, like publishers will continue to put that in their games and force developers to put that in their games. I think that the only thing that is going to give us a chance of it turning around, you know, is just waiting it out. I mean, we're seeing it start to happen with BioWare specifically right now, which this one stings for me a lot because we've now gone through Dragon Age Inquisition, which while it was a good game, I enjoyed it quite a lot. I mean, it was a shell of Dragon Age Origins, you know? Obviously, the graphics were better and the environments were cool and stuff like that, but Dragon Age Origins was a masterpiece. Dragon Age Inquisition was fine.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. And then you look at them and they come out with Mass Effect Andromeda after that, you know? And I mean, even Mass Effect 3, which a lot of people didn't like the ending on, but even still the DLC really like did a lot for, you know, for the fans of Mass Effect. Mass Effect Andromeda was disastrous. And then you go one more step farther than that and you bring out Anthem. You know? Like, and I will say that I think Anthem at its core was a good game. But
And it was lacking.
during development, I mean, they scrapped the entire project and like basically started from the ground up like 4 or 5 times, I think, because they were constantly switching leadership and stuff like that. And nobody could figure out the real direction they wanted to take that game. And it came out a mess with no end-game content.
Honestly, I feel like low key, that's what happened with Cyberpunk, but they just don't want to admit it.
Yeah.
Like, it gives me the same vibes, you know? Something that had such grand expectations, but fell flat maybe because of some type of just, you know, promises that they made that couldn't end up being kept. So they tried to take it this direction, but that doesn't work either. So let's take it this way. Like that game felt torn.
It
Just
really
like
did.
Anthem.
It really did. And Torpster in the chat said, if more companies start self-publishing and focus more on content and offering a solid experience rather than the motive for the game being how can we get money, games will get better. And I think that he's right. But at the same time, I think that there are people doing that now. It's just the smaller devs. It's the indie devs, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we touched on that earlier, but I think the indie devs who are blowing up right now, I think that we're going to have a real golden age of games for, I want to say about 5 to 10 years before they start to get really big and then they go into their corporate greed. It's like it was mentioned earlier, you know? We're going to go through these cycles because EA wasn't always this monstrosity that EA is right now. Yeah. You know? Like EA used to be a much smaller company before gaming was as big as it was, and they were putting out good games. I mean, I think about how much fun I had with Star Wars Battlefront and Battlefront 2 when those first came out. Not the reboots, the originals. You know? Like the amount of fun that I had with my friends playing Star Wars Battlefront, like just locally on my PlayStation 2. You know what I mean? Like it was so fun.
That game was one of my favorite childhood games, for sure.
Same, and I think it holds a lot of fond memories for a lot of people in their hearts, but now EA has just hit this point where they're so big and there's so much money in it that they can't help themselves almost, you know? They're too responsible financially to, you know, hit certain goals. And the thing with shareholders is they're not content to see that you're continuing to make good money. They want to see you make more money. They want to see that money turn into more money. It's not just can we, you know, continue to reach the same goal that we did last year. It's how can we push that even farther? They're not even
Yeah.
trying to just maintain success. They're trying to grow, because that's why they've invested, is to see their profits get bigger,
I
not
I
stay the same.
I think the only way to like impede that and also kind of deter other AAA companies from doing the same thing is like you said, waiting, and specifically waiting for I feel like there's been so many indie games just like even in just 2020 that blew up way more than any AAA game did. And I think like if indie games really keep putting in like all those indie devs, they keep putting in that passion and the same quality that we're getting lately, we will see game developers maybe take like a back pedal and be like, okay, this is working for these 5-man development teams. Like maybe we should try that and we would get some success out of it. Like monkey see, monkey do, kind of like the same reason they got where they are now, you know? Oh, all these microtransactions, all these freemium games, all that stuff. Let's do that because that's what people want. It'll make us the most money. Well, now all these very well thought out indie games are starting to make these people money. So maybe they'll be like, okay, let's go back to that formula now. I think that's my hope. I think that would be like the best solution I would have to the issue.
And I mean, even people who aren't just like small indie devs. I mean, look at the story of Player Unknown. The guy responsible for Player
Yeah,
Unknown Battlegrounds. You know what I
or
mean?
just smaller, uh, smaller companies. You know,
Yeah.
not even just. I get what you mean. Yeah, totally.
But I mean, this was a guy who went from. I mean, he was being like he was unemployed for a bit, living off of welfare. He had just gotten divorced from his wife. He was basically just like doing what he could for work on the side and playing games, and like he just started working on this passion project that started out as a mod for Arma 3, I believe, is where it all kind of like kicked off.
Yeah,
And
Arma 3.
I mean, then went on to make this game that blew up and, I mean, has probably like made hundreds of millions, if we're being honest. Like with how popular PUBG was at the time. I mean, that game is still, even with PUBG Mobile, like just breaking insane records all the time. I mean, they were making so much money off of this series. And obviously there's a lot to be fixed with PUBG, but I mean, that was a game that when it came out, compared to the other Battle Royale games, you could tell there was a lot of passion in that game.
Yeah, totally. That game was very passionate at the
Yeah.
beginning, for sure. And I think it's funny that you brought up like the battle royale genre too, because like that that's another very clear example of like this monkey see monkey do thing in the gaming industry. Because for a very long time we were seeing just this massive influx of battle royale games just because of a few companies were making big bucks off of them. And
Yep.
every other dev was like, okay, now we make a battle royale. Like, it's just, I think they all just, they see what's making the money and they follow it. So
Pretty much.
if indie game passion projects are making the money, then devs might try their hand at a passion project. Who knows?
Well, and it's actually interesting that you say that, because EA has started their initiative where they are like going around and funding like small indie devs who need money and stuff like that, like probably for like a cut of the profits or something like that, or just
scary.
to get good publicity for EA. But they've had their like indie program for a while. Well, they're going around and they'll like support smaller developers who need a little bit of extra funding or help with what they're working on and stuff like that.
That's a really awesome idea. Like
Yeah.
in all seriousness, like that's really cool. But in like all joking, it's EA and they're terrible and they're tyrannical and they just want your company. There's probably some weird cut there. EA is getting the biggest slice of the pie. All right.
Yeah.
Anyways,
And I actually don't know if they're getting any slice of the pie, honestly. Like EA makes so much money.
it's
I'm
like
not
that.
sure exactly what they're doing with their indie program exactly. I don't know if they get a cut at all. Like I feel like they might, but it might also just be like finally some good publicity for this country for this company that's been hated for so long. You know what I mean? I mean, they're probably big enough to be
That
their own
damn
country at this point.
EA,
Yeah.
dude. Those
Yeah.
those damn EAs.
Yeah, realistically, dude. Like, but I mean,
No, yeah, totally. I mean, if that is the case, good on you, EA. But
yeah. I think that really the only thing that changes is, what games people choose to purchase. I think a lot of the change that we're going to see is as we see people start to wake up to the idea that, hey, you don't need to play these freemium games. You don't need to spend a whole bunch of money on microtransactions constantly. You don't need to buy the same Pokemon game over and over and over again when it's not really improving or innovating or doing anything to take it a step farther. Like one thing that's always impressed me about The Legend of Zelda is like how creative they are with their innovation while keeping it true to form.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
feel like, as much as I like to bash on how Nintendo takes all of my money, like I that's a very consistent thing I see with them. Like I they just take these characters that they have. Specific, yeah. Legend of Zelda is an amazing example. They really do just continue to innovate the same formula over and over again. But then you also have like the Mario games that have been tried and true for however many years now. Still somehow innovating those games, making them cool, making them 3D, making you be able to capture a dinosaur and do dinosaur things. Like
Yeah.
they're good at that. I respect Nintendo's like integrity on that end.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think that they're one of the few companies that we've seen get bigger and still show a lot of passion in their games. I think that they're completely clueless on what people want, and what needs
Yeah.
to happen. Like as far as network code specifically, obviously we've seen that as an issue before. The most recent Mario Party release being as bad as it was and as shallow as it was, like there's definitely areas where Nintendo's fallen short. But one thing that they continue to do well is like push their franchises forward. Their franchises. Obviously, Pokemon being under the Pokemon Company. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
I say
yeah, it's
Game
the
Freak
Pokemon Company.
specifically. I don't know if they're
Game
still.
Freak.
Yeah, I don't know if they're still responsible for like handling every
I don't
Pokemon
know
game, but
either.
like
Yeah.
even the Pokemon Mystery Dungeons at this
Those
point
are
have felt like they've innovated more than the mainline Pokemon games, and that's ridiculous to me. It really is.
Mystery Dungeon has like uh, some of the old ones like Explorers of Darkness and Time and Sky were probably like I, comparable to the mainline Pokemon games in my eyes as far as the level of fun and passion I had and saw in those games. Those Mystery Dungeon's great. I
Yeah.
love Mystery Dungeon.
And one thing Rachel said was that's the struggle I have every year with the NHL games. I'd be happy with paying a fraction of the price for a roster update. I don't need fancy new modes. And see, that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
you don't need a whole new game every year for sports games.
Dude,
Honestly,
sports games get it the worst.
they really do.
That's probably the area that has the least amount of passion in it. I'm like, in all honesty, it is literally just rinse and repeat and give money, please. Like that. That's all it is.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like at this point in like gaming's life cycle, it is just blatantly taking advantage of the fact that people will
Yeah.
purchase these things, that they haven't gone to a similar like model as Rainbow Six Siege, where like the base game came out, you paid for the base game one time, and if you ever bought Rainbow Six Siege, you are still playing that copy of Rainbow Six Siege. You've just paid for, new seasons that have come out
Yeah.
of like characters and stuff like that, and that's it. And every new season, you pay a little bit of money, and then you get your money's worth the entire year because they're constantly releasing updates and stuff like that because people are continuing to play their game and support them every season. You know,
Yep.
and like
Yep.
it is gross that sports games haven't adopted that model yet, just because they know that people will pay for it, and they're taking even more advantage of the people with all of the Ultimate Team stuff that they've now put in, and they've pushed hard to make the Ultimate Team game mode their like premier game mode for
Dude,
like
the
online
sports
play and
game
stuff like
stuff
that.
is it's nasty, dude. That's probably like the grossest part of the gaming industry in my opinion is the sports game part of it. Like it's just so I I I respect people that like those games,
Yeah.
but I have no clue why you would ever purchase them every single year, and I'm sorry that you feel compelled to do so because you don't deserve that.
Yeah.
Like, it
Most
is
definitely.
sad.
Well, and the thing that's the most sad to me is like these are the fans of these games, Especially right now with
Yeah,
COVID, you can't go out and have a game of football with your friends anymore,
they're
you
doing them
know?
dirty, man.
Like it genuinely is dirty. Some people, this is the
Yeah,
only access they have to what they love. Not everybody has even like cable TV to be able to watch the sports that they want to watch all the time. So like some people, the only dose that they get of what they're trying to do, if they're passionate about football or soccer or football everywhere else in the world but America, or hockey or things like that, like they can't just go out and pick up a game right now because COVID restrictions and all that. Like some places are still quarantined and you can't just go out and like be tackling people that close who might have COVID.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so some people,
Mhm.
this is all they get. And like even the little bit of their passion that they get to interact with is so heavily monetized and controlled by greed. And it sucks. It really does.
Yeah, it does, dude.
So Dude, this was a heck of an episode. I think this was quite nice.
You know what there was in this episode, Vince? There was a lot of passion.
Yeah.
We have passion.
Yeah, a lot. And I mean not just from, you and me either. A lot of the people,
In
in our
chat,
community
yeah,
in chat,
dude, absolutely. Chat, you guys, for anyone listening, we're live on Twitch right now, and chat today was absolutely amazing. They offered us a lot of input, a lot of questions, a lot of opinions. It was excellent. Thank you guys. You have passion. You have passion.
Yes. And genuinely, from the bottom of our hearts, anyone who has continued to support the podcast, support our streams, anything like that, members of our community who, just go out of their way to come hang out with us for a little bit or listen online, we appreciate you guys. We really do. It means the world to us. So thank you.
Truly.
Thank you for
you,
being
guys.
here every week or listening and downloading the episodes. So for Devin, if people don't know where they can find you and get more of your content, where can they find you at?
You can find me at twitch.tv/DevinCronk, spelled exactly how it is below there. My Twitter handle is also down below. You could just throw that in, Devin Cronk with 2 Ks. And in my bio on Twitter, there's a link to every single link that there possibly exists that has to do with me and my content. How about you, man? Where can they find you?
Well, if you're here on the channel, feel free to hit the follow button. We go live pretty regularly, moving into full-time content creation as of Thursday. The 24th is my last day at my job, so I'll be starting streaming at 9 p.m. on that time, going until 3 a.m. We're going to be doing Tuesday through Friday, podcast on Saturday, viewer game Sunday. So a lot of big things in the work, but just Vince on Twitch if you're a podcast listener. Also on Twitter at Vince0094. Is where you can find me, and you can find me on YouTube under just Vince. If you're familiar with my logo at all, it'll be the same one as it is on Twitch. And then also on TikTok at Twitch just Vince. I will be making more TikTok content from here on out because I will actually have time to do it after I'm done at work, and I'm super excited about that and to continue on with the YouTube content as well. So if anybody wants to be on the show, I saw that we had actually quite a few applications over the last week. We're up to 12 people who have applied to be on the show now, and that's big hype. You are more than welcome to fill out that application right there. Our guest next week, we are very excited to announce, will be Grub Plays. So be sure to tune in next Saturday to see Grub Plays here on the podcast. We're very hyped about that. We're very excited to have him on the show.
Yes, sir.
Also, we are going to be having some returning guests coming back in the future. We have a few people already in mind, people who you've seen on the podcast before that we want to get back in here for another episode soon. So also be sure to be here on March 6th for the Valheim stream. That's going to be happening on Saturday after the podcast. Also, if you want to, send us an email at GamingTonicPod1, or is it GamingTonic1?
It's just GamingTonic1@gmail.com. That is our email.
There it is. That's the link. GamingTonic1@gmail.com. Send us an email. Tell us you hate the podcast. Tell us you love the podcast. Send us sweet messages. We love to see it. Also, feel free to follow us on Twitter at our Gaming Tonic Pod Twitter. It's just Gaming Tonic Pod on Twitter. Go check it out. We would love to see you on there. And we are going to go ahead and hit somebody with a raid. If you guys don't mind sticking around for that to go show somebody else some love. What's up?
Just I always like to say, for anybody that's listening on YouTube or anywhere else, if you go to our YouTube channel and you go to the description of the YouTube video for this episode, you can find all the links we're talking about right now. Okay, I got you covered. That way you don't have to scrounge around for them. Just go to the YouTube channel, Gaming Tonic. It's a big GT. It's a white and it's got a gray background. You'll know it when you see it.
Awesome. Perfect. All right, I think that takes care of all the business. So everyone who has been here for the podcast today, y'all have been absolutely incredible. Hopefully you'll stick around for this raid with us. But we would love to see you tomorrow for our viewer games at 3 p.m. Pacific time. We will be playing some Smite. I will be casting with Grinth Live. Once again, we'll be having a great time. Be sure to come out for that. And I love you guys. Time to listen to some music and have a fantastic rest of your day. Take care, everyone.
Adios, boys.